this. So, clearly the $1 level remains very important. That's where this line is, by the way, over there, where it looks like, in this area just here, where that line is a $1. $1 really remains an important level on more than just the psychological round number $1 area now. But of course, for a few reasons, big old fair value gap just in here, the Ichimoku cloud that's in here, which obviously has given us some sort of indication that $1 is important. We know that it was anyway. You don't need the Ichimoku cloud to see that because that there trend line shows you that's the $1 round number, by the way. So we know that there's areas down here, so like that's to be aware of. That's your negative side. I remain positive, right? I remain positive on this. It's easy to remain positive while it's above $1.20. Few reasons for that. Obviously the sort of the support that's just there, but you can see that this was resistance at one point, so it was resistance and then it became support. So until such times as that story is changed, I'm going to remain very positive. Resistance became support, okay? And yeah, that's the main driver for me right now with this, with Nvidia, etc. The AI stocks all taking a hammering recently because of this DeepSeek news. It's not much of a surprise that this also suffered with the SPX and the major indexes, the DJI, Nasdaq, SPX, all that. You've got the same sort of story, right? The markets were falling, and just as much as a rising tide lifts all boats, a waterfall will poop all over everyone. What's the phrase? Anyway, and this has been dragged along with the crowd to a certain extent, because we know that it's been like this for a couple of weeks over here. If we see the LPSN price at 150, I think then the positivity kicks back in again, and movements up into the $2 plus area become quite likely, because any momentum on this stock between this area here, where you can see quite clearly there's a range, it could keep going like this forever inside this zone and never ever change ever. Highly unlikely though. If it does move above this area, then it goes into this, which is low liquidity, low resistance, low liquidity, low resistance, low liquidity, low resistance, and then the zero liquidity, zero resistance zone of the gap from before. So it becomes very positive. So $1.50 if you're sitting on the sidelines, $1.20 if you're sitting on the sidelines and looking to see, okay, maybe I could buy at $1, maybe that could happen. The entire market though is aware of this trend line, probably, whether they're consciously aware or not, and the entire market is aware of the $1 round number area. Right, so this trend line, it offers support. $1 offers support as well. So that's two reasons why this would be very likely to be a bounce area, right? The third reason of any movement down towards this zone, which might have been considered necessary from a sort of structural testing out the price areas point of view, could be resolved in a move down the way. It might require a move down in 90 cents or 80 cents to fully resolve that need. But, that general zone would be where you're looking to. But again, that's the negative side. The positive side, and I'm only really speaking about those to the types of person who's waiting on the sidelines to try and buy and wants to get better value, you'd be looking towards those two places for bounces and so on. Then, of course, 150 upwards is what can quickly lead to very good substantial rewards on this stock. And we can also see very clearly that this is, of course, forming this type of structure on the charts, which does give us a decent area to say, right, let's just take this range. We'll not be too greedy. We'll not take the full curve first. We'll just take this range and use that as a target, and that brings us up towards like 556, 100% plus move after it got into the gap. After it did everything that was really positive. So anything above 150 is a higher reward. The risk that you would need to take to get the higher reward, because higher risk means higher reward. The risk is that it doesn't make it past $2 and so on. But buying it from 150 upwards is where that value kicks in at. If it did make it up there and you were sitting to wait and see because you thought it might get rejected again at the top area, which is very, very fair because there's probably a 50% chance that is exactly what happened or more, then you'd be sitting in the sidelines waiting for $2, $2.10 to buy that momentum and so on. And you're thinking, well, what sort of target could I aim to? Well, if you aimed up towards $4.20, then you'd be that would maybe be still 100% on a trade after an area where you've reduced your own sort of risk. The higher risk exists just there. Buying it within inside this range is mostly done by people who are selling it inside this range as well. And then the patient people are waiting perhaps for $1 or $1.20 to buy it. But of course, you snooze, you lose. And this is an upward movement inside a pattern where the top side has been tested without price rejecting it down past the prior support and resistance yet. It's still bullish, and it still remains then that the target for us remains up there at $2.10 and $4.20 and so on. That's the way it remains until such times as it doesn't. And the only way that it wouldn't be that case would be if it was back down at sort of 65 cents again. So the positivity remains in place, and buying it in these lows is also a risk. But if you buy it inside this range, you're looking for it to push up above the 150 area, to be outside of where we are right now. Brilliant. When that happens, other people will start buying it. So your high risk, high reward is so far ahead of the game. You wait till it's above 150, you're second place in there. Still high risk, high reward, looking at more than 100%. You wait till it's above 210, still high risk, high reward, 100% move up, and then afterwards, well, that's somebody else's story, because that's not happened quite yet, right? So we'll talk back about it again, since this is how the story is with this one, affected by the overall negativity that's in the AI space right now. Obviously affected by by little things like the fact is that we've got earnings that are coming up here on the 20th of February. It's not that far away. It's going sideways in a little channel which remains positive above support and resistance. So its stance is positive with the upcoming fundamental news of the earnings. It remains in a position that's positive while it is not out there trying to proactively push higher right now. It remains in a positive stance above the previous resistance, which is now support, and that's where the prices are. So that should be more than enough for you, Sir Bacon of Pancake. And see chat in the audience like we are blessed, everybody being nice to each other. Chad saying Rocky's a legend. Hey, thanks so much. Ali B chatting away, sparing some thoughts from a wee Bobby the cat in the vet today, getting his ear operated on. So I'm sparing some thoughts for your cat there, Ali B. Seeing the chat, seeing everybody happy, going to win.